don't know what you're checking on me for. You need to check on the person I just checked. That's what you need to, like I would just keep it going. I'd be so upset and animated and bothered. And one day I kind of just took a breath, looked back and thought, girl, how long you gonna do this?
Yeah, you wanted a million and you show it. What you want, is it really that important? You've been on my mind.
Hi, Kymberly here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another day in my video series that I am calling Happy New You. And I am hoping that I'm able to say something, remind you of something that just helps usher you into a better state of being for this new year. And hopefully it stays with you and you continue forward. But one of the things I thought I'd talk about today is the fact that a lot of people talk about my nature. I've been described as someone who is very calm, very unbothered, and all the things. And I feel like I need to clear that up. First, I need to be honest and come clean. I haven't always been this way at all. Once upon a time, all it took was the slightest infraction, the slightest thing of someone offending me, just even that much, and I would just feel this need to go off. I've always been kind of soft-spoken, and it felt like people would take my quietness for granted. Now, as I've gotten older, you know what I've realized? People take my quietness for granted, and that's okay. Whereas before, it put a little chip on my shoulder or something, or it would be very vexing and upsetting to me, and I felt like I needed to set the record straight and da-da-da-da, and I would go off, and after I'd go off, somebody would check on me and, like, are you okay? I don't know what you're checking on me for. You need to check on the person I just checked. That's what you need to, like I would just keep it going. I'd be so upset and animated and bothered. And one day I kind of just took a breath, looked back and thought, girl, how long you gonna do this? Like, how long is this gonna serve you? How long do you want to be this person? No more. Not anymore. And I'll be more honest than that even. I was working at a law firm and I was feeling so proud. I worked at an all-black law firm, and one of the attorneys, I would say, was kind of grooming me. She was very nice to me, introducing me to introducing me to some judges. I was getting to go to these elevated places. I remember having to get a gown. If you've seen my videos before, I had a high school friend. I called her Lisa, I believe, and I got back in touch with Lisa. I was like, girl, I need a gown. I'm going to this lawyer's thing. And she acquired, we're going to say that, she got the gown for me. And I go to this high function affair. And I mean, like, I'm just feeling all the things. There were a lot of other black attorneys. And here we are, we're in these elegant gowns. And I look over in the corner and I see her having this very animated conversation with someone. And I get a little closer, and I mean, she's in full on, don't let the dress fool you and da-da-da-da and going off and all that other stuff. And it looked stupid. And as I saw her acting that way, it disturbed me to the degree that I was even talking to my father about it. And so he was like, what really bothers you about that? And I was like, just seeing her, I thought she had it going on, and here she is in this gown and she acting a fool and she doing all. And he asked me, so did that remind you of anybody? And it did. That was the thing that bothered me the most. Is that I kind of saw myself in her. Just as I had seen myself in her with all the ambition and all the other stuff she was doing, I saw myself in her acting that way as well. And that definitely turned the corner for me. Like, that's just not who I want to be at all. And I can say that I sometimes have flare-ups. It was a month or two, I forget how long ago, that a little Karen came along into my life. And there was a bit of a flare-up that I stated. But even with that, I'll say I wasn't the rah-rah person I used to be, in the in-your-face and all of that. It took a lot more than just a little bit for her to get under my skin. Racism just about always does it for me. So yeah, racism, I would say, sometimes gets a little rise out of me, but not even as much, because I remember too what my father said that day. It was pretty much an African proverb that I'm probably gonna butcher, but it was something to the effect of, when an intelligent or a wise person is arguing with a fool, there's really nothing you can beat them with but knowledge. You can come down to their level and fight them with what? Knowledge? They're still a fool. So the fool's not going to get it. You know what I mean? It just doesn't even make sense. And I find that there is this beauty and this joy, this tranquility in just being quiet and just watching people do whatever it is that they want to do. I will say this too. I haven't always been a classroom teacher in my career of education. I also was what was called an instructional coach. In my capacity as an instructional coach, I had to work very closely with a couple of principals. Luckily, I've worked with enough that you can't really narrow down which one I'm talking about, which allows me to tell this story. But anyway, as I'm working with this principal, the closer we are and the more we're working together, the more I realize this is not really a good person. This certainly isn't someone that I want to be in close proximity to very much. And so I made sure that whatever job was that needed to be done, I was doing. You know, whatever conversations we had needed to, whatever conversations we needed to have, you know, they were getting had. I wasn't disrespectful or rude. I just wasn't as present as I guess she would have liked me to be. And it was one of those situations where she honestly wanted me to kind of be glued to her hip. Honey, I've got stuff to do. Like, that's just not who I am. And in my capacity, I guess it was to some degree an admin job, but in my work as an admin job, I came to realize that I'm not a principal's admin. I'm not an admin's admin. I am a teacher's admin. And so what I mean by that is that there were other positions and jobs. You know, we had, what was she? Basically, she was a reading coach. And this is before we had the title math and the title reading. This was years ago. But she worked intensively with a set number of kids. So she didn't have a classroom. And there are just other positions throughout the building that didn't have a group of students assigned to them, you know. And so these people have a little bit more free time throughout their day. And what I would find is they were always just about in her face. They would literally walk past 2-3 teachers, barely say hello, and then get to her and, hi, good morning, how you doing? I brought you some donuts. You want to have this for lunch? You know what? They had a buy one, get one free, and I got one for you. You want that? And I thought, isn't that just about the dumbest thing? Here she is. She got to be the highest paid person in the building. You have literally walked past all these teachers just so you can have a little shine time in her face. That was weird. So fast forward, I've seen a couple of people with this thing going on with her, and in my mind, I'm kind of thinking, as ridiculous as they look, yay, I'm glad it's you and not me. Maybe she can stop asking me to be attached to her hip. We get another teacher that comes into the building, and she and I end up being good friends. And it was the weirdest thing. And she was like, so what's the dynamic between you two? I said, what do you mean? She said, well, it's kind of like the more she comes around, the more you kind of go away. It's like come and go, come and go. What is that? And I said, oh, it's probably, I don't know, come and go. It's what you see as it is. And she was just saying, well, you know, there's a good opportunity there for you to kind of link in with her, and that'll probably help you, you know, boost you throughout your career. It probably would have. But I wasn't interested in that. Like, I'm silly enough to think, hey, I'm educated, I'm experienced. Whatever I get, I should be able to get on my own. And as it turns out, I really wasn't even interested in that anyway. But my thinking was, you've got all these other people kissing your butt. Why would you need me to do it too? And so that's what my friend and I started talking about. And she was just saying, you know what? Because it took a turn, I'll be honest. Hers and my relationship kind of took a turn where I guess she started resenting the fact that I wasn't kissing her butt. And in my mind, you know, I was younger then. In my mind, I thought, you don't really need me to kiss your butt. You got all these other people kissing your booty. Be happy with that. And what I could see was, I won't say a disregard, because they had some kind of friendly thing. You know, sometimes they would go eat, you know, more times than not, they would buy for her, but every so often she would buy something for them as well. And I couldn't understand it. Like, I'm not saying I couldn't understand why they would do that. I understood them kissing her butt. What I couldn't understand was her being so bothered at the fact that I wasn't kissing her butt. You got all these other kiss butts. Why do you need me doing that too? And like I said, I was younger at the time, and that's just kind of the way things work. People want to conquer those that they can't really conquer. So I finally started understanding that, and I thought, you know what, just to ease the tension, just to make this thing go a little bit easier, I'll just start acting like, oh wow, just the greatest. Oh my gosh, I hate that I can't stay in here. I gotta go and I gotta get this paperwork. I gotta do whatever. And I would always find an excuse. Whereas before I was just like, oh wow, well y'all go ahead and I'll talk to you later. So I tried doing it that way. I got back and I asked my friend, I was like, so how did I do? She said, girl, it looked about as fake as a $3 bill. And I just started realizing, you know what, even when I try it, I'm just not good at it. So you know what, I'm just gonna have to just be unapologetically me, I guess, and be unbothered. But I just found that to be a weird dynamic of the more I pulled away, the more it seemed like she really needed to get me into that fold, I would say. Anyway, so what do I feel like is the lesson in all of that for this video? To me, the lesson is, it was weird. Let me just say this. It was weird that a person in her position would be so desperate for that kind of approval from a person in my position who just really wasn't interested in giving it to her. The lesson in that, all of that for me, is to look at it from a different perspective that I would like to offer for you, which is that what you'll find is that people who are happier, and I was, people who are just busy about the business of living their life and all of those things, just don't have the time to be interested in someone else's life. So I would suggest to you, if you find yourself looking at someone else and you find yourself bothered by their actions, or you're wondering why they don't approve of you, or why they don't see in you the value that is you and all of those other things, then I would submit to you that maybe you are a little more bothered than you ought to be. There is beauty in not being bothered. I think the hardest thing for me was trying to even pretend I was bothered, even on the clock. I was like, I had reached a point where I said, wait, no, I'm on the clock. Surely I can fake like I care, or surely I can act like I'm bothered on the clock. I couldn't even do it then. Like when you're busy being happy, they can't even pay you to be bothered. You know what I mean? And that's what I want for you. I want you to be that person. You can't even be paid to be bothered. Find some things to do. So where does all of this come from? It comes from a weird little comment that I got that someone gave to me about asking, what do I think makes me qualified to do a Happy New You video? What makes me think that other people aren't happy, or that other people are bothered? And I thought, you know what? I mean, clearly people are bothered. You bothered to type up this comment. The comment has since been blocked and deleted. Don't worry about finding it. It's gone. But that just struck me as odd. And I thought, first of all, how'd you even find me? You know, because I don't think I'm a person who's giving out negative energy. I haven't for a gang of years. I don't know how you found me. But yeah, that alone told me that, yeah, there are people who are actually bothered. There are people who are stressed about it. I literally had a whole nother topic in mind to talk about today, and I'll see if I can put another one in the can tonight. But yeah, that impressed me enough to do a video. It didn't impress me enough to get bothered, I'll tell you that, because click, block, and delete, that's actually easier than typing out a response and all of that stuff. I type a response because I care, but click delete, yeah, I ain't bothered. If you find yourself being bothered by the actions of someone else, you find yourself needing that approval, you want someone to be on your hip and they're rejecting you, they're moving away, that bothers you. If you find yourself as a content creator wondering, how come people aren't responding to me? Like, what is going on? And that's hurting and touching your heart like that. First of all, let me, as it speaks to content creating, can I just say that the odds of being successful at this are minimal at best. I'll pull it up, and if I do, I'll try to put it on the screen. But I think 90% of people who start a YouTube channel fail at it. So you better have a bigger why of doing it than, oh, I want to be successful. For me personally, my why is I want to serve the community. I want to feel like I'm being of use and helping people. So that's my why. I mean, think about the odds of that. If you had a doctor and he said, now listen, it's about a 90% chance that you're going to die, but hey, we give you surgery if you want. Are you signing up for that? No. So please understand that, like, if you're a content creator, you've already signed up for a tough road ahead. Your why needs to be, this is something you're passionate about. And if it is, then go for it, gung ho. Because I promise you this, let's say you're part of the 90% and you fail. I may very well be part of the 90% who fails. But right now, as I talk to you in this moment, I feel good. I feel useful. I feel like I'm doing a service. And that is the part that matters. That's my why personally. So tap into that and find that why and then go gung-ho with it. But other than that, outside of that, if you find yourself being pressed, bothered, upset, all the things with someone else, because here's the thing, you cannot control anyone else's responses. Like, all you can control is your life. How people respond to you and how they feel about you, whether they want you on their hip or you on theirs. None of that is something that you can control. It just isn't. So if you're finding yourself bothered about that, I need you to find something else to be bothered with. I need you to find your own life to be bothered with. You know how they have that saying, get your life? Yes. You know what? Yeah. Matter of fact, get your life. Get your life in order. Get your life to a happier place. Get your life to a point where you wake up excited about it. You've got your why and you're ready to move about the day in your why and in your purpose. Anywho, that is my video for today. I hope it was short and sweet. I'll find out when I get to editing. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not already done so, please hit the like button. I truly appreciate it. I do not take the time that you spend with me for granted at all. And with that said, take care.